My father's grocery store was called Karl's Food Shop, and it was in a two-story building at the corner of Broadway and Balmoral. He lived right above Mr. Josephson's drugstore. He was the neighborhood pharmacist, and my dad's grocery store was the last store at the end. My father was a German immigrant, and he had the grocery store with a partner, two young men, and then he bought the partner out, and my father used to live in the back of the store. There was, in the very back, there was a toilet in a room, and then there was a kitchen sink on the wall, and that was it for the plumbing. So, and he lived in this little space. The hours were absolutely horrible. They were 7 days a week, from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and on Sunday from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. My mother would go upstairs and cook dinner, and my mother and the children would eat, and then my mother would go down to the store, and my father would come upstairs and he would eat. I always felt my mother worked twice as hard as my father. They would serve dinner probably 5 to 6, and she would eat and feed us, and then she would go down to the store and he would come upstairs.
And then he would nap. And
he would
she'd
nap.
Stay down
Yes.
to shop.
And then he would go back downstairs and close the store, and she would come up and clean up the dishes.
So your mother was working all day long?
Oh, yes. And then my mother hand-washed clothes for 6 people in the bathtub. My dad sold a lot of canned goods. Milk, eggs. There was no butcher shop, and he didn't have
But bread?
Oh, yeah, bread. Just, sort of fresh fruit and vegetables. And my dad always wore a white apron. I can still see him standing there. He was kind of tough sometimes, and he'd stand there like this, watching the kids take the candy. The kids were taking too much time deciding what they wanted. He'd say, "Hurry up." Father usually added everything up with pencil on a paper bag. So when people came in, he just scribbled on the paper bag how much stuff was, and he added it. And I remember when he got the new cash register, which you had to punch the numbers in and then hit that little oblong plastic thing, and this was high tech at the time. So that must have been in the early 50s. The floors were wood. It was mostly self-service because all the shelves were lined up and people would take things off the shelves, or they would ask for something and he would go and get it. And he also had a refrigerated case with cold cuts. Yellow Taxi Company was right on Broadway, the garage. So all the men that were cab drivers would come over at lunchtime, and my dad would make sandwiches for them.
Did he have one of those old meat slicers to do it, or did he?
Yes. He also had a freezer with ice cream by the gallon, and he would scoop it out and pack it in little containers. That was hard work, scooping out ice cream and weighing it. And brands, he also had a candy case, which we, as the 4 children of the family, loved.
Did he offer delivery to his customers?
Oh, yes. I was the delivery girl. Yes. We all, or my dad would deliver, or my mother would have to come stay in the store while my father delivered. And we had a little wagon, so my dad would go around the neighborhood and pull the groceries on a wagon.
So how would that happen? Would someone call up?
They would call up. We never went on a vacation. My parents never earned a car. They never learned how to drive. It was a very rough life. The part that I thought was good, it was my mother's social life, because she couldn't go anywhere or do anything. My mother was housebound and store-bound. But people would come in the store. My mom would sit on a wooden box and talk to this lady. And the two of them would sit on wooden orange crates and socialize with each other.
In the store?
In the store.
Now, once the chain stores came in, like A&P.
It drove my father out of business.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I remember when they opened large chain stores, everyone started going there, and they would only come to my dad's store when they didn't have money. and they needed credit.
Did he sell it or just close it?
Well, my dad closed the store, I think, in '68
Just
because
closed.
supermarkets, they were closing all over the place. I think the main reason was because they weren't financially, there was no business. Would you go to work and not get a paycheck? Because basically that's what my father was doing. It wasn't really that good a living. They made very little money. Having a grocery store, we couldn't go out to play sometimes because we had to work there. You were, as a child, you were housebound and to a grocery store, being raised by an immigrant set of parents. It was work, work, work. It's the work ethic which doesn't really exist nowadays.